Ramana Maharshi Center for Learning is a non-profit registered society working now for more than 4 decades in the areas of Indian heritage awareness.
ध्यायेत् शारदचन्द्रसुन्दरमुखं ताम्रारविन्देक्षणं भक्ताभीष्टवराभयप्रदकरं कौपीनमात्रोज्ज्वलम् स्वात्मानन्दरसानुभूतिविवशम् सर्वानवर्ग्यान्वकम् श्रीमन्तं श्रीरमणेश्वरं गुरुवरं योगासनाध्यासितम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रं यहमिति साक्षादात्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा चिन्वतामर्जतव पवनचरणरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्. Bhagavan never advocated leave the samsara. Bhagavan never said leave your wife, leave your work. Leave what? Leave what Bhagavan has given naturally, what the Lord has given naturally to you. He never advocated leave it. He said, please do that duty. As Ambika Akka also said, please do. When it has to stop, it will stop. If at all, it has to stop. Even to say that it will stop would be a wrong statement. If it has to stop, it will stop. So, none of this is actually an hindrance because the grace, as we saw, is already available in all of us without an iota of discrimination. So, what is life? If that awareness, if that presence, which is Ramana, which is present in all of us, which is Atman, we can call it by any name. So, Ramana's life and teaching and our life and teaching becomes same. Our life is also an opportunity to let that Ramana shine. Life is, if you see very clearly, life is only an expression of that knowledge, expression of the teaching. Life is not different. Life is only an expression of the teaching. Even if we take in the very mundane ways, if I am a software engineer, my life as a programmer is only an expression of that knowledge of software that I have learnt. I am putting it to bring something in the life, that's all. So, in whatever way, life is only expression of the knowledge. Then comes the question, what is the knowledge that I am holding on to? Am I holding on to the knowledge that Ramana as the existence awareness, as I am, is always there, and that is me, and hold on to that knowledge, or do I hold on to other knowledge where we live in the stomach, we look after, we care about that? That means we hold on to the knowledge which is not very natural but acquired. Acquired through the senses, acquired through reading, and more so from this meaning-making machine. Everything we go on making meaning from morning till evening. If you see, yesterday, Vani Madam played it very beautifully. She switched sides and she said, "Oh, this morning you did not get up and do meditation." Then the other side, the same mind telling, no, I slept yesterday very late, so I couldn't get up, so it's okay if I don't do it one. So it's the same mind which is making meaning out of this. And when we are making meaning and holding on to it as mine, but what we are, Bhagavan is saying, is that absolute presence, the absolute awareness, which is so naturally available that we don't want because it is so naturally available, like the farmer. And we want something else. So then what do? We hold on to these thoughts, this meaning-making machine from morning till evening. All it does is, instead of I am, it keeps on saying, I was so-and-so, or I am so-and-so, or I want to be so-and-so. This meaning-making machine, instead of remaining in the I am, is only going on thinking about the past, the future, and even now, what is going on, it is trying to make meaning of it. Bhagavan is saying, all of this happens in the form of thoughts. The root problem is this, very simple. Now inquire to whom is this thought. Moment we inquire, we can be very clear that this thought is not for the person sitting next to me. It is only for me. Thereupon Bhagavan says, inquire, who am I? You keep saying I. Have you ever tried to see what you are? And Bhagavan doesn't bring any great experience need. He says naturally who we are can be revealed in the three states that we go through every day. We have the waking, we have the dream, and we have the sleep. For just checking out what we are. In the waking, we are identified with this entity called Dilip. And whatever happens to it, happens to me. But when we go to the dream, this Dilip, what I assume to be Dilip, is lying on the bed, but there is a dream world out there. In the dream world, I might have gone to Mumbai, and I might be conversing with somebody. Now, can that Mumbai enter inside me if it is real? That Mumbai, which is very big, can it really enter inside me? No. I mean, it beats all logic that Mumbai cannot enter this body. So I am conversing with so many other people as my my cousin had a wonderful experience. In his dream, he had encountered a sannyasi who was talking to him in Sanskrit. And he felt that he doesn't know Sanskrit. And his name is Raghavendra. He works with me. So he felt he doesn't know Sanskrit. But then he found that I am also along with him in his dream to meet this sannyasi. And I am answering the sannyasi's question in Sanskrit. But he is able to understand the gist of the conversation. Then after waking up, he had this thought. Now, where was this sannyasi? Where was my brother-in-law? And where was I? I was the one who was thinking I did not know Sanskrit. I was that sannyasi. I was my brother-in-law also. And I was that language Sanskrit too. Everything was only I. So Bhagavan says, then let's go on to the deep sleep. Now this whole confusion is gone. There is no I also. There is absolutely no I in deep sleep. And we don't have to ask anybody next that I did not have I in the deep sleep. We know that we did not have an I in the deep sleep. Who knew? Asks Bhagavan. So, that truth, that Sadvastu, ever present in everything as grace, without thinking this is a great person or a small person, this is an animal, this is a tree, or this bench, which is present in everything as grace, is the only thing which is the truth. The rest all is like the dream which comes. When it comes, it is there. It appears very, very real. Even in dream, we may get afraid and scream and wake up. So it appears truth, but the truth is not because of the dream. It is the truth which is us, our real nature, lended to the dream. Lended to the dream, and in the traditional path, it is called as superimposing the snake on the rope and getting afraid of the snake. It is our own doing. And all Bhagavan says to get out of this, he says you need not become self-aware, you are already self-aware. The only thing that has to be done is to let go all that you think is not self. How do you do? It comes in the form of a thought. Just inquire, to whom is this? It's for me. Then who am I? And he says, when we continue to do this with full faith, all the thoughts, all the vasanas that are making us make meaning moment to moment come forth as thoughts. And we use the sword of inquiry to cut it. Moment I see the thought and inquire, one beautiful thing happens. I have moved my attention from the thought back onto me. In fact, in the traditional path, it is said that for the solution for ajnana is not actually dhyana or anything. The solution for ajnana is gnana. If you have knowledge, ignorance should go. But often the Shishya goes back to the Guru and says, but by hearing this knowledge, I am still not able to hold on to it. Then the Guru says it is because of lack of ekachintana. You are not able to, your lack of the strength of the mind, that the mind is not able to hold on to one thing and let go everything else. It is because of the lack of ekachintana. So do one thing, to get ekachintana, do dhyana. Keep your focus on one thing and then continue to do dhyana, then you will get that ekachintana. Then the disciple usually starts to do dhyana, and he says, I am having lot of thoughts. In fact, the number of thoughts increase when I sit for dhyana. In a normal plane, I am very okay, but when I sit for dhyana, there is so much of thoughts, so much more of thoughts. Then the Guru says, oh, the problem that you have so much of dhyana, vikalpa during your dhyana is because you have lot of vasanas. So what should I do when the Shishya asks the Guru to get rid of these vasanas? Then the Guru says, do nishkama karma. Only nishkama karma removes the whole vasanas. Offer it to the Lord. All work, offer it to the Lord. Now again, work means we should not go on like service. Whatever work we have, if we are a housewife, cooking, if we are a mother, if we are in an office, whatever work that has come naturally to us, offer it as an offering to the Lord. That is nishkama karma. And from that, chitta shuddhi happens. In fact, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chittasya shuddhaye karma natu vastu upalabdhaye. Karma is not to get anything new, not to get the vastus, the objects. Karma is only to get chitta shuddhi. From that chitta shuddhi, then you come to ekachintana, and from ekachintana, when the Guru says tattvamasi, you can hold that knowledge and live it. Now, Bhagavan is so compassionate. He said, okay, 3 steps, we will all get very confused. So he gave it as self-enquiry. He said, okay, how does your karma come? Okay, it comes in the form of a thought, no?
Shri Ramaneshan Tanda Brahma